Hi everyone, Christie Macpherson here, your independent Scentsy Star Director and Consultant. Just coming to you for a quick little biz scope this afternoon. If you're tuning in looking to ask inappropriate things of people, generally troll, carry on, blah, 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 just skip the hoo-ha and jog on before I block you. It's a sad, sad world that we live in that I need to start every business scope with, hey Charmaine, to start every business scope with, if you're here to do something loserish, please refrain. But hey, that looks like that's how we have to talk to people a lot of the time, at least until I can block all the morons that are on this social media platform. But for those of you who are intelligent, engaged, self-aware business people and who are tuning in for intellectual property, hi, first of all. And second to that, let's get started on a little bit of invest, learn, teach. So I run a personal leadership development program for the consultants within my direct Scentsy team who are keen and engaged and showing promise towards becoming leaders. And we were speaking about markets and events the other day, and coincidentally a couple of pieces of training content actually hit my inbox this week as well. So I wanted to summarize a few thoughts and give you guys some actionable tips on how you can really rock markets, events, fairs, fetes, expos, that sort of a thing in your direct selling business, your MLM business, marketing business, even your small home business. If you're not in that, direct selling platform, that's still going to work for you. So first things first, at a market or event, your prospects, your people, your public, they're coming to you. Cool, right? And if they're not coming right up to you, you may have to bridge the gap a little bit. They're at least coming to where you are, which puts you one step ahead of everyday life. I did used to say that no one's going to knock on your door and ask if you sell Scentsy, until that indeed did happen to me one time. But to be fair, she saw the branding on my car. But usually people aren't going to come seek you out and ask it, oh, hey Amy, yeah, I'm glad you're getting value. I do try to keep it nice and generic so you can use it across whatever direct sales platform you want or entrepreneurial platform you want. But yeah, they're not going to come and seek you out and say, hey, what do you sell? What do you do? What value can you offer me? Usually, but especially at a trade event or sort of a more focused, tailored event, people are there with a specific purpose in mind. And if you're there as an exhibitor, then they've already got an idea that they want to see what you've got to offer and chat with you and connect with you. So that's easier than running a business in, shouting into a vacuum of your everyday life. So know that at markets and events and fairs and fetes and expos that people are actually coming effectively to see you and see what you have to offer. So that's a cool thing right out of the gate. So at markets and events, we're looking to turn, first of all, connection into conversation, into conversion. So what that means is we're looking to connect with our public, obviously, get a dialogue going on the spot, and hopefully convert them into some kind of at least a lead, if not a customer or a recruiting prospect or a host on the spot. If you're shy and the thought of rocking up at an event with, hundreds, if not thousands of people terrifies the absolute crap out of you, and you're introverted and you think this sounds like hell on earth, put it this way, the conversations that you have at events like this, they're usually short and sweet. So even if you fall into a blushing, embarrassed puddle of mess as soon as they go off around the corner, it might be a couple of minutes at the max, versus if you're a home party demonstrator type direct seller, where you're going to be with these people for the next couple of hours. So you muck up and, embarrass yourself, then you're going to be staring at these people that you embarrassed yourself in front of for the next couple of hours. Whereas at an event or an expo or whatever, you might say something you're not super duper proud of because you think it may just seem like a bit of a deal or whatever. Hey, they're gone around the corner. They're yesterday's news and you're on to the next person. And that's another cool thing about doing bigger events, is you actually get really great at having those quick elevator speech type conversations about your product and about your business, repeating yourself over and over and over and finding the best words and the best phrasings and the best tone that really gets a great response out of your audience comes quite naturally when you do it again and again and again at an event. So that's another benefit there. For direct sellers, usually, depending on the rules within your company, usually you'll have a promotional display only at events like this, particularly for the ones who, for your party plan, no party planners, oh, righto, and that can be for a variety of different reasons. I was speaking to an event organizer the other day that said it had something to do with the legalities of they couldn't have people that couldn't sell on the spot or something like that. But if you're there doing a promotional display, make sure it looks good, make sure it looks inviting and tidy and nice, and if you can possibly get your boxes and whatever you use to transport your stock or your display into the venue, completely out of the venue again, I highly recommend that you do that, because nothing looks worse than having a messy sort of dog's breakfast display. But if you can't, then do the best you can. So eye-catching, multi-level is much more appealing visually. Like if you can have it staged, you might use something as simple as a company tablecloth to drape over the different levels of your display to catch people's eyes as they come past. So nice promotional display. Have your business opportunity on offer if you can. Difficult if you do this as a team sometimes, because you might have a fantastic banner with all your personal branding all over it that says join my team and blah blah blah, and you might not want to sort of crush the people that you're working with and put yourself right up in front of them. So obviously be sensitive to that. But if you can have a generic join my team or a generic whatever your business opportunity is, particularly if you're a direct seller and network marketer, I highly recommend you have that on display as well, because those conversations don't often start themselves. It's pretty rare, although once again I have had it happen that someone will bowl up to you at an event and say, hey, really interested in joining, what do I do right now? So yeah, try and have that at least as a conversation starter somewhere in your display at markets and events. And the hook to book. So for a starter, if you're at an event like a market or a fair or a fete, particularly one that you have only promotional display at, and you don't have your diary, slap your hand and go home and get your diary, because that's just not cool. If you're a party planner and you don't have the main tool that you use to book parties with you, i.e. your diary or your calendar or whatever you use, shame on you, because you're going to really struggle. So make sure you have your diary there, or a visual guide of some description. I was talking to a friend and colleague of mine, very good friend of mine last night, Christina McWilliams, and we were talking about, she had an event on today, and she said that she was stickering her little booking bags with the dates, because she felt that she didn't like to move back and forth, to grab her diary and etc. So it was much easier for the person that was grabbing, the booking bag to just go, hey, yes, I'll take the 4th of April or whatever it may be, and then they can go ahead and book it from there. So that was a cool little tip from Christina. And if you're allowed to, once again, this will depend on what your personal special rulings are within your business, but if you're allowed to have a sign up, for example, that says book a party with me today and get XYZ, or ask me about my booking special, ask me about my host special, so on, definitely have that up there, because you want to give people that hook to book while they're there and talking to you. And oftentimes they'll actually bring it up with you, hey, what's this whole what's this whole booking special about, and how do I get my hands on it? So that'll help lead you into that conversation. And I've seen people do this at events, and usually it's a new person that does this, and it's, they're not doing it intentionally. But if someone's giving you all the cues that you need that they are really interested in booking a party, actually ask them, because they can't snatch your diary and just start writing their name in there. At least, well, they can, but they probably won't. So if someone's like, I love parties, I love direct sales, being a Scentsy consultant, I love fragrance, I love Scentsy warmers, I have 6 warmers at home, I went to a party and blah, 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 blah. They want you to ask them. They're pretty much putting themselves in your gentle and loving firing line to get you to ask them to book a party. So don't let them walk off, especially when they've really given you the big soft hand-holding walk down to booking them a party. So please don't let them go when they do that. And, if you read their signals wrong and they say, nah, parties aren't my thing, then no worries. Once again, it's that couple of minute conversation. They're around the corner and you're off to the next person. To me, this is super obvious. It's not always super obvious to everyone. Don't stand, or particularly don't sit down behind your table. Don't suddenly discover that your phone is the most interesting thing you've ever seen in your life and you just spend your whole time looking down into it like this. No one's going to want to come and engage with you if you're doing that. It's very, very hard for other human beings socially to walk up and break your focus and engage with you if that's the body language that you're giving them. So if you can possibly stand in front of your display or your marquee or your table or whatever you've got, I highly recommend that you do that. If not, if it's physically possible, at least stand up and be looking at the public as they're walking past rather than be sitting down. Once again, the body language thing, it's intimidating for people to walk up to a display when you're sitting down, like eyeballing them as they walk up towards you. And, just one more note to leave you on. Think of when you're doing markets and events as a little bit like a school dance. Like, you might be a little bit awkward, they might be a little bit awkward, you both sort of want to connect with each other, but you're not really super sure how to go about it. So if you're at the school dance, you're not going to suddenly pop out from behind a drink stand and go, "Hi, do you want to dance?" Like, they're going to backflip off into the next room to get away from you because you're a creeper. So, don't pop out from behind things and scare the punters as they go on by. That's not going to serve you. Don't stare at your shoelaces for 4 hours and expect someone to bowl up to you and ask you to dance. That's probably not going to be be a productive way to spend your day either, particularly when you're the consultant and they're the potential customer. And it's a little bit like the school dance analogy, maybe a little bit older than the school dance analogy, but get their number. For Christ's sake, please, I'm begging you, get something that will enable you to follow up with them after you've had that conversation. So you sort of owe it to yourself and you owe it to them to establish that connection that you've worked so hard for. So if you're talking to someone and you're handing out a sample, or you're you're just having a great business conversation and you think that they may be your next customer, your next host, your next teammate, or even your next advocate, because the people that don't fall into the customer, host, teammate category, like, they're still a valuable person. They're not an awful person because they're not going to fit in those three categories. They may be the greatest advocate for your business, and they'll go out and tell everyone that if they, for example, in my case, if they want to have dealings with Scentsy, then hey, you're the girl to do it with. But yeah, build that connection. Have the balls to get that number, or at least that email address or that something. I use Big Al Schreider's "Would it be okay if" when I'm asking for these details. So would it be okay if I texted you next week to see what you thought of your sample? Would it be okay if I grabbed your address so I can send you out a new catalogue when it comes out? Would it be okay if, so on and so on? You can definitely work on those ones yourselves, but that's my that's the conclusion of my Invest, Learn, Teach for today. And one of my favorite sayings, I'm not going to say that I made this up, but I don't know where I got it from if I didn't make it up myself, but if you're not following up, you're effing up. So get the details of the people that you're connecting with. Learn on the spot, recognize it's not all about you, and that if you do make a little mistake, then, you'll live. No one ever died at a vendor event because they tripped over their words or anything. I was even at an event when I was pregnant with my youngest, and I had a product in my hand, and I mimed shaking the washer whiffs into the lid towards the lady, and I actually threw the washer whiffs bottle at her because I had a little bit of pregnancy carpal tunnel. No one died. It was fine. I can laugh about it now. She could even laugh about it then. I was pretty embarrassed though. But have a great day. Have a successful weekend in your business, and I hope you got value out of the post today. If you would like to connect with me, you can do so at my website, which is www.scentswchristie.com. So that's sense with CHRISTIE.com. You're very welcome, Marie. Have a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.